Hi, Felena Hanson here at Hera Hub with Kris Michell. She is the CEO and president of the San Diego Downtown Partnership. And Kris, I am really excited to learn more about you and your career path. So take us back, let's start there. Take us through, where did you go to college? What did you major in? And take us through your career path.
Well, I was born and raised in San Diego. And so I attended San Diego State University, and I was a political science major. And my parents said, "What are you doing being a political science major? That you're never going to get a job." And so they wanted me to go into business or something much more practical. But it was what I loved, so I did that. And my first real job was working for the Building Industry Association, male dominated. So it was back in the late 80s,
Okay.
Very male dominated, and I ran their political programs and their legislative programs for them for 7 years. But when I was in the room, most of the men thought, "Oh, she must be the party planner," or "Oh, she must be," because back then that's what women, there weren't a lot.
Yeah.
And if there were women in this arena, they were lawyers.
True.
And so that was that.
Yeah.
So we started there, loved it, and thought, wow, to be able to really chart the course for San Diego, because I love San Diego.
Yeah.
And then I worked for Susan Golding, who was mayor. And Susan was a tough leader, very smart. And I had the opportunity to not only work for her, but to put on the Republican National Convention.
Wow.
And that was in '96. And I was the city's liaison to this effort. And we had over 40,000 people in town, 11,000 media members, 11,000, international, national.
Oh my goodness.
And we, San Diego, and it was the Republican National Convention, but it didn't matter to me whether it was Republican or Democrat, for San Diego to be on the world stage.
Sure.
That's what mattered. And so we had all of these media members all over saying, "Gosh, we thought you were just a sleepy little Navy town." And no, look at what we're doing and what we're up to. So it was a great opportunity to help redefine ourselves.
Absolutely.
As a region. And then I worked for the San Diego Padres, Larry Lucchino and John Morris. They came to me and said, after Susan, they said, "Come on, go do your next thing." And it was Petco Park.
Wow.
At the time, it was just a ballpark being considered. And I said to Larry, "I'm not really a big baseball person, so I don't think I'm the right one." And he said, "You're the exact one." He showed me the plan, and it was a site plan of 23 blocks on paper. And then he said, "Now we're gonna go walk it."
Wow.
And we walked down, and I'll never forget that day. I remember the urine smells in the streets, the chain link fence with razor wire on top,
Yeah.
all the things that, and he said, "Imagine now what it could be."
Yeah.
And so I was in. So 2 years with them, I worked on the ballpark. We received over 60% approval rating,
Wow.
and then worked the second year on the entitlements. And then I took a detour and I got business experience because I felt like I was good on the political side. I worked for and elected, but I really needed to hone my business experience.
Sure.
Very little. And I wanted to read a profit and loss statement and understand financials. So I worked for Marsh and McLennan in their insurance division. They're a worldwide, or they were at the time, worldwide financial services firm headquartered out of New York. 50,000 employees worldwide, and I was in charge of their property casualty insurance for real estate and government.
Okay.
And so did that for 5 years. Loved it for 2 because I was learning. Hated it for 3. And that's when I learned a really important lesson. I thought, wow, do what you love.
Yeah.
And so I thought, I can't do this the rest of my life. And then Jerry Sanders was running for mayor, said, "I need your help," and then asked me to be his chief of staff when he was elected. And I spent 5.5 years with him until I came to the partnership.
Yeah.
And I thought, boy, the partnership kind of takes everything I've done my entire career and puts it into one job.
Absolutely.
Number one, our region is going to grow by over 1 million residents over the next 30 years. So we have 3.2 million residents, and we're going to add 1 million. And that's modest growth.
Wow.
By the way, 62% of that is internal, our births over deaths.
Sure.
And so I always have kids say, when I speak to college classes, they raise their hand and they say, I don't believe that because we're not having kids. And I said, no, we're not dying.
Yeah.
You know, that's the problem, we're living longer, so I get that.
Yeah.
So to accommodate that growth, we need 400,000 housing units and 500,000 jobs.
Wow.
When you think about that, I started my career at the BIA, and we had these large land tracts that you could build. We don't have that anymore. And so we're growing up as a city, as a region. So downtown is going to play a particularly important role in our future.
Sure.
Couple that with the U.S. Census Bureau that says for the first time in 100 years, urban growth outpaced suburban growth.
Interesting.
So first time in 100 years, we now know that urban centers, downtown in particular, are going to be our future. And then you couple, on top of that, you take a look at our workforce. So what's our workforce? By 2020, 50% of our workforce will be millennials.
Yeah.
So kids, my work, I'm a boomer.
And many of those independent, if I might add, when you look at the trends in these millennials coming out of college, many of them don't want to go work for the man, so to speak. They're the Uber gig generation type, climate in that they're not maybe marching out and going to work for a Qualcomm. They want to create their own business.
That's exactly right. So what we have spent about 2 years studying millennials.
Yeah.
So for boomers who are watching this, it's not that you put your head down, you work for a company, GE, you start out in the copy room, and if you just do your job well, someone's going to find you, and then you're going to be there 30 years, 40 years. That's not it. So millennials want to be relevant. They want to do what they love. Passion is very important to them.
Yes.
They're not going to stay at a firm even 5 years. Many of them are moving around because they want to stay relevant. Owning a home. I saved my pennies. My husband and I, we bought our first home and we bought our second home. It's not that way. They saw what happened in 2008 to their parents and how well that worked out for them.
Yeah.
So renting is perfectly fine.
Yeah.
They don't need 2 cars, don't want to live in the suburbs. So this kind of flood to urban centers is really underscored by a study that the CEO for Cities, Carol Coletta, did. And in 2000, 60% of college graduates said, I'm picking an urban center for my first job.
That's amazing.
And 10 years later, 94%.
Wow.
So there is this major shift away from it.
Yeah.
Millennials aren't getting driver's license. This is the craziest thing, my niece.
Yeah.
So I said, Kate, come on, we'll go get your driver's license. Absolutely.
Not interested.
She said, oh, Auntie, that's fine. And I said, I can't understand this.
Yeah.
And they grew up in the backseat of a car.
Yeah.
Getting a driver's license doesn't mean freedom like it did for us. So we have to build a downtown for millennials.
Yeah.
And we have to create that sense of place. Underground Elephant. So that's a company that started.
Cool name.
Cool name, aren't they always? Yeah, you're thinking, But they really mine for data, and they work with Fortune 500 companies, but it's analytics.
Okay.
Digitaria started. They are homegrown.
Yeah.
Amazing. Dan Covey, if you've met him, he is amazing. Same kind of analytics companies that are going to put San Diego on the map, where we're able to take disparate pieces of information and put them into a format that companies, retail companies like Rubio's and Toys R Us and all these other companies that they work for are able to use.
Sure.
There's a woman who is doing a happy hour application where she uses beacons, and it's the new thing. Beacons. 6 months ago, no one knew what a beacon was.
Yeah.
I still kind of don't know, but okay. So you put a beacon in a restaurant, and then you sign up. And as you sign up, you get happy hour notices for happy hours for and again. We're creating an environment for younger folks. And then as you use it, the app and the beacon are able to tell the proprietor, here's what's happening, you know, here's where you need to flex your pricing,
Sure.
or your hours, or your product type, you know,
That's great.
whatever you're doing. So there's lots of really great things going on.
Wonderful. Specifically, what is the downtown partnership doing to support those types of businesses? Is it more space related? Is it planning related?
Well, it's all of that. It's
Okay.
planning related, it's space. When they have trouble at City Hall and say they need to get a permit to do something, we jump in and help them.
Okay.
Yoga One Studios, fabulous yoga studio in downtown. We engage them, woman-owned. We engage them to help us with our health and lifestyle.
Oh, great.
So it's healthy living in the city by Scripps Health. And Yoga One Studios, they're doing all of our yoga classes.
Wonderful.
So she wanted to get her name out there, and we said, look, if you come and help us, teach some classes free. And the first class, we had over 400 people practicing yoga on the flight deck of the Midway.
No way, that's
It was
great.
so cool. It was cool, and everybody loved it. So, you know, those kinds of things.
So awareness, exposure.
Exactly, and everybody needs something a little different.
Sure.
So we're there to help. So if they succeed and thrive, we do.
Absolutely.
So that's how we do it.
Great. Well, thank you so much for your time. It's been really, really a pleasure.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Of course.